to the Pantheon. I am Ray.
I'm Chelsey.
And today we're looking at the H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space. It's based on Lovecraft's work. So when someone says to Lovecraftian, this is textbook Lovecraft. It is body horror, it's the unknown, it's the things like the alien invasion, it's all those things. Because he was very phobic, and there's things about craft that you and I, as a person, may not like, but his horror and the idea of what makes a Lovecraft film is here. It stars Nicolas Cage and Jolie Richardson.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So this movie is crazy fun in the sense that it's, well, I wouldn't call it fun. It's just crazy. There's nothing fun about this film. If you want to see Cage becoming Nick Cage, there's a scene where he's going off in the car. That's Nicolas Cage doing what he does best. So let's get into like the story. So it's this couple with a family. They move to the cottage.
Oh no! It's his dad's farm.
His dad's farm, right?
Yes.
And he's taken over. He's taken over it. They didn't want it a good thing out of something of a bad situation.
Yeah.
So the wife has cancer. Is a cancer survivor or has cancer. He is living on the farm. It's a farm now. He's trying to make a living with alpacas.
Yeah.
Which I guess it is fun because the alpaca thing, that is common. It is like he's milking alpacas. You can use alpacas for the fleece, the wool they grow. You're making, they're trying to be environmental. He's reading books on how to farm. He's trying to make a living off the land.
Yeah.
And he's methodical. He's making it work. And there's not like things like telling his wife, look, now that we're together, it's not a dream, it's a reality. We're making this happen. The meteorite hits the front yard or the backyard outside the house, right? And it gives off this pink or it's magenta.
Yeah.
Now so the premise of this, the notion of the color of light. So in the spectrum of light, red and blue and magenta you can't see. You have to see it through a certain lens. But it's so to see magenta like as it is in the spectrum, like human eyes really can't see it, but like the way they show it to you, it is what it is. And it's just a cloud or a mist, but there is a life inside this thing, in the color that this crater that's formed. It's entered the water, it's affected them. So it's almost like it's like a trip, So you have a guy named Ward. He's a hydrologist, but he's the narrator of this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I watched it. So,
actually.
Yeah, Ward is a narrator. So the opening, when he talks about the trees and the crickle woods and how the trees, he's talking about how the trees turn. I go, that's not Nicolas Cage. Like, who is talking? One of the things that Lovecraft created was an Necronomicon, which is the Book of the Dead, which if you ever saw Evil Dead.
That movie sucked.
Yeah. So Lovecraft created that book. That's Lovecraft. That's his. He thought of that.
Oh, okay.
That's his thing, right? So when you see books like Evil Dead, you look at like something like all those kinds of films where it's horror, like 80s horror. I mean, Lovecraft had his fingers. It's not his. Basically, the influence of Lovecraft is felt in the horror genre. I mean, he's one of the disciples of horror. Like, there's different people that you could go to. Lovecraft is one that stands out. And for me as a child looking at horror movies, I wasn't a fan of horror films, and mostly it's because of Lovecraft stories. It bothered me looking at Dario Argento's films, like which is Italian, like Superia, like those Italian horror films.
Yeah. I
did not like those. Like, I could not go to bed at night. I had to go to bed with the light on seeing those kinds of films. So, even George Romero horror, like zombie movies, I did not. Okay, except for Night of the Living Dead. That's black and white. It's the 60s. That wasn't scary.
Yeah. That was okay. Yeah.
And I saw the parody Night of the Living Bread. Have you seen that one?
No.
That's funny. But then seeing the Romero ones, like the ones that came after that, not the 90s or the recent ones, but like the ones that follow, like Day of the Living Dead and like stuff like that. That Texas Chainsaw Massacre, those films, that's a visceral gore.
Those are good
Those
ones,
are
yeah.
visceral horror, and Lovecraft films are very visceral in that sense. If you look at The Mist, that's Lovecraftian in its own sense.
Yeah.
You know, so uh, it's that kind of thing that kind of stood out for me. So the meteor hits. The first thing I thought, okay, the child is affected because the first person who sees it is a little boy,
Yeah.
and then you can see the radiation. They think it's like radiation burning. So we're not sure what it is, and there are things like vegetation starts to grow crazy. The new life forms. There's a cricket or a grasshopper, flying grasshopper. That's really freaky with its tentacles coming out the front, and it sees in the color of magenta. There's a sound, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where you have that sound where you're whistling to the subject and the subject whistles back to you. So there are different elements from different films you can see can play with this movie. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, where's this film going? Because it's like, there's a threat. This thing is, okay, so I should go back. I'm jumping all over the place. I realize that. So, okay, so the comet hits, it draws lightning. It hit lightning. We have a lightning storm. Several lightning bolts hit this comet.
It's just attracted to the comet.
Right? And so it reactivates it. And, okay, so one of the things about nature is when you have lightning, one of the things that creates like soil to produce, it creates nitrogen, which you can't get anywhere else. It only happens when lightning hits. So it helps fosterize and create like garden, vegetation, life. So nature in itself creates life. It's all everything, like bees go to pollinate. Well, when lightning strikes, it creates nitrogen onto the ground, which gives the ground nutrient. It regenerates. So like everything's connected. So with lightning hitting the comet that's already landed, it's just regenerating it, and it's causing it to accelerate. It's giving it strength. And so you're getting vegetation. It starts to grow wild on trees. So as the movie progresses, it starts to grow. One of the things that I had to watch this part again. So one of the effects this thing does, it can bend time.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So the scene where you look at the clock, there's a scene where the mother cuts the carrots.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's a shot of the clock. It's 11. It's like quarter to 11. When you go to the clock again, it's like 5 p.m. It's like 5:20. The clock switches. Right. There's a scene where the brother goes out. She goes, well, they go, why did you put the alpacas back into the barn? He goes, I just did.
Yeah.
Because the time bends. He goes, I was just outside. And then it got dark, and I got lost.
Oh, yeah.
Because time switches. There's a scene where Nicolas Cage talks to the chef when they come in, and this is at the end. He goes, I'm talking to the family. They're all there. And at this point, you think Cage is just being Cage, right? But then when you watch at the end, the family is in the room, right? And though he's inhabiting the daughter's voice, whatever it is, but you're looking at a ghost image of the family at some point. So time is being affected. Like when I watched, I didn't see time. Like, how's time affected? But
I didn't even see that until you pointed it out.
So time is actually affecting what's going on, right? So like there is that. So it's bending, and it's affecting. It's in the water. It's acidic, or it's contaminating the water. So they're drinking it. Nicolas Cage's skin is getting rash, like it's really bad, and you can see in the ice cubes starting to turn crystallized and colorful. And he's putting bourbon on his hands for the water.
Yeah, it looked like pig skin.
Yeah, but the part where Nicolas Cage starts to go a little nuts is when he starts imitating himself as a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, talking to his kids. I'm like, where is this coming from? And then you realize, no, because he's drinking the water, he's getting kind of like, even though the wife they come back from, okay, so the scene where the wife is cutting carrots, she cuts her finger. That's the only spoiler I'll give in this thing, right? And then she says, oh, dinner's ready, and she puts up her hand.
Dinner's ready.
I'm like, and she's like, and because she's already in, the water is affecting them in some way. So whatever the environment is, like whenever the sound comes out, it sounds like the girl is being like she's in cramps or some sort of like physical internal, like she's vomiting. She's being like either she's being invaded, or there's a chemical reaction, or she's sick or poisoned. So we don't know where that's coming from or how that's going to play out. And the mother is going through a trance, and she cuts her finger. So the father takes to the hospital, and the kids are there by themselves. And it starts to spread more, and it affects the plant. See, and every time you see the plants, it grows. You see more flowers. I think on the third time you see on the tree starts to grow these red flowers. I'm like, I go like, why are these people seeing this stuff? I go, I know. And as I mentioned before, like the father's trying to grow vegetables and crop, and then all these things grow a month early. So it's like, oh my gosh.
And he's just harvesting.
He's like, yeah, I did it. I'm amazed. I did this. Oh, look at this tomato. It's amazing. He's singing opera songs. Like, it's great. Yeah. And he's like, and then he starts to bite into it, which I won't go into that part. But like, it's just like he's happy. It's like, well, first of all, yeah, this thing is increasing the rate of things to grow, and it's what would you in your what would you call it? Like, what is it to you?
Like, why are they calling it the color of space?
Yeah, what do you think? It's a color space, color night, color of space. Oh, color out of space. Sorry.
I don't know. So you were saying how our eyes can't really interpret magenta. Mm-hmm. So I think with things being from outer space, mm-hmm. like it would be a color that we wouldn't really be able to see well.
Yeah. So do you think we're seeing that purple, or is this maybe it's for the only for the viewers in the audience seeing that, or is it? Do you think that's actually?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's just us seeing it, mm-hmm. but because like throughout the movie, he goes and mentions how there's like some pink thing, and then someone else is like, "What?" Like, yeah. So yeah, I think it was more so of like a trick of that. But if you don't know that you can't see magenta mm-hmm. the way that like magenta is, yeah. then I feel like that is a part that would slip. Mm-hmm. But since you pointed it out, that makes way more sense for me, because like that could be an alien thing. Like what if?
Because I thought it was like a predator. Because like when like the Ward, like when his car starts off and the radio starts off, and then there's a trickle or a flip of magenta in the sky, like in the air, in the ether of the woods. Yeah. So I thought, is that an alien presence in him? Like it's like a predator kind of thing. And because the things come and go. Oh, Tommy Chung from Teacher Chong is in this movie. He plays the is his name Eric or something like that, or
no.
Like he's a guy who lives on the property, but on the edge of the property.
I can't think of what his name. It is something really simple, not Adam, but
like let's say Eric or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like he's a hippie, but actual exposition of what's going on and how it's actually going on.
Yeah, he definitely does.
He's explaining to you, like this is in probably the third act, where it's actually what you don't know what's going on, because he is with the moon, the stars, and the Earth Man, and it's all, you know. So like he's explaining to you like what is really going on, and it's actually given to you in the third act. So like so if you're not totally with what's going on, but you're going for the ride, which I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what was going on. So this helped me understand. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with, kind of. This is the entity that we're dealing with, because it's taking on many forms. It's not just because I thought, okay, it's just light. No, there's something there. That is it one entity? Is it just it's affecting life on Earth, which it is in a very crazy way with the alpacas and the dog, yeah. with the mother and the son. It's the cat. It's not manic in any way, but there is this descension into entropy of like how everything starts to unravel and disorder really unfolds. And I thought this was amazing in that sense, where it's like, okay, I see where this is going. I don't know where this is going, but I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm on board 100%. And then you have Nicolas Cage riding the car. So he's driving the vehicle into like crazy town, and I'm like all for it. So your thoughts in general?
Like rating thoughts
mm-hmm.
or just
sure.
thoughts? Okay, so for that movie, I gave it a 3. I'd probably give it a 3.5. I gave it that because horror, on and off, I'm really into horror, and that like would not scare me, but I did like the fact that when you started watching it and you tried to make it be like a background movie, it mm-hmm. wasn't. Yeah. Like, you can, for example, I was vacuuming and I was like, yeah, I'll just turn this on, just to turn it on, and it was like, no, I'm going to just put the vacuum down a second to hear what he has to say, because if you miss it, then you're not going to know what's going on in the movie.
Yeah, there's something in it where it's like, it's not important, but like if you don't catch that one little thing,
yeah.
It comes back. The scene where the kid draws an interpretation of the alien.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, does it have legs? And there's a scene with the tree and the sheriff. I go, is that the alien? Because then you realize, it's not the alien. It's just what the alien is in harboring kind of thing. So I thought, so for me, this movie's a 3, solid 3. It's not horror in the sense of traditional horror. Oh no, it's sci-fi horror. That's way to say it.
Yeah.
It's sci-fi horror, and there's gore.
Yeah, there's.
It's not gore. It's just body horror. And
Yeah.
that's where the gore is. It's just. I keep saying Lovecraft, but like there's it's just what he does with the elements of like. There's a fear of that he has, and then therefore it's in the writing, and so that's classic. What this horror is, and that's a 3 for me.
Yeah, I would stick to that then. Yeah, I would go back to a 3. It was definitely not any more than that, but like it's not like I don't know. No, that's just.
Well, okay, if you had to tell somebody, okay, you should watch the movie for this reason, what would you tell somebody? This is the reason why you should see this movie for you.
I would recommend it to someone who doesn't like horror movies because it's like, okay, I understand you don't like being scared part, but this part has, or this movie has a potential where it's like it could play on you and your mind could make it a horror, but. Only if you're like really into it. So people who like Alien versus Predator, I think this would be a really good movie for them. Because
it's not horror, but there's a ratchet tension to it. And if you like for me, I'm not a horror person, but like if I wanted to like get myself ready to deal with horror, this is the first step.
Yeah, this would definitely be.
But I'm okay, and I could watch the next movie that comes my way. So this is like this. If you want to get into horror, this is probably a good way to springboard you to that subgenre, that genre. All right, so with that, I am Ray.
I'm Chelsey.
We'll see you next time. Take care.